We talk a lot about the NFL schedule and the changes around the NFL schedule, TV schedule, and such, but that isn't the main purpose of our show tonight. The main purpose is to talk fantasy football. And if you're watching on TikTok Live, you're going to be able to see on our screen, I'm actually going to bring up right now the early projections that ESPN actually just put out earlier this week around each position. We're going to talk about it. Adam, Michael, and myself are going to go around each position, the quarterbacks that are ranked, the running backs, every position, and how they're ranked in this first round for you fantasy football crazies who are already starting to scout which players to go after. Adam, Michael, I'm a zealot. I'm crazy. I have an addiction. It's called fantasy football. Now, I love auction drafts because I think snake drafts are communistic in their idea that, like, a computer gets to give someone randomly the first round, the first overall pick. That's crazy. I'm about capitalism. If you want to spend the money, you should be able to go chase the players you want. I won't dive into that rabbit hole on this particular night because I will go off on a tangent. But I am curious to know for both of you, in your first round, is it always a running back, or are you willing to take what is the equivalent of the best player on the board, the player that you think is going to get you the most points over the course of the season, even if it's not a running back? Adam, we start with you.
So disclaimer, why you know this about me, I'm not a big fantasy football guy. So I will ride your coattails on this one, and I'll just do my best that I can. But, I'm not a huge fantasy guy. But for me, I would take the guy, in my opinion, that would, be the most points from week to week as the first overall pick. The guy that's going to be there, I guess the word I would use would be consistency. If you have a guy that's going to consistently give you a certain number of target points every week, that would be my top pick in the draft.
Michael, from your perspective, how would you play fantasy football first round?
So I'm always running back first, just because there's an abundance of receivers out there that can get you a good amount of points and not as many running backs. So I always say you got to get the best running back available, just because even with injuries, if you don't draft a running back super early and your main running back RB1 is injured, you're slim picking.
We have a question that actually came in here on TikTok Live that I want to address. That is, thoughts on Stroud and Rashee Rice, fantasy value on a draft dynasty rookie drafts. First of all, if you are going that deep, there's a meeting at some church somewhere of anonymous people that you can join around fantasy football, because that's in deep, but I'm all about it. And what I would say is, I actually think it's a nice tandem. Because I think Rice has great speed and is going to be able to get out of breaks really well. And I think that's going to be important for Stroud, who needs to get the ball out quick. Obviously, he's got a great offensive tackle in Laramie Tunsil. But if Stroud's going to be successful early in his career, I feel this always about every rookie quarterback, unless they are crazy dynamic with the ball like Lamar Jackson. It's about get the ball out quick. Just get the ball out quick. Keep your jersey clean. Stay upright. Build momentum. Build a good completion percentage. I always feel like that's the key to rookie success. So I even look for that in fantasy. I rarely go to a rookie quarterback in fantasy because they are so hit or miss. The only time I can think of doing so in the past was Cam Newton. Funny enough, I won my league that year because he was so prolific. But rarely do we see a quarterback do that in their first season. And for that reason, I would say rookie quarterbacks, unless you're in a dynasty rookie draft, crazy nut job league, I would say rookie quarterbacks for the most part I would avoid. But if you do get them, do try to find their safety blanket, their tight end, their slot wide receiver, again, who's going to get out of breaks quick, going to be that option wide receiver who all of a sudden can turn what is a simple route into a bigger gain, because that's what a rookie quarterback is going to go to over and over again. Now, shifting back to what the focal point of our conversation is going to be is these early rankings for each position in fantasy. Guys, without a doubt, the number one quarterback out there is Patrick Mahomes, and that goes without saying. But I do think for the first time, there's a bit of controversy at number 2. Josh Allen is currently ranked for ESPN at number 2, with Jalen Hurts at 3, Joe Burrow at 4, and Lamar Jackson at number 5. Interesting that Justin Fields sits just outside of there at number 6. I'll start with you, Michael, because you're the fantasy football nut. Adam will get your take on the football analysis overall. But Michael, when it comes to fantasy, do you feel like Josh Allen still deserves to have that firm hold over the number 2 quarterback position.
I'll actually go one step further. I have Josh Allen as my number 1 option.
Really?
The thing is, Josh Allen, he's finished second in quarterback last year just because I think his elbow injury prevented him from actually maintaining that level of success further down in the season. If he did not get injured, I believe he would have finished as QB1. And I'll go another step further. Jalen Hurts is my number 2.
Wow. Is that because Jalen Hurts in the red zone has proved to you that he can consistently get in the end zone?
Yes, and I also believe his passing yardage will be up from last year.
I tend to agree with you. The only reason I'm actually a little hesitant is because I feel like you're seeing and how with the DeAndre Swift move, I feel like Rashad Penny coming in, I do feel like they want to protect Jalen Hurts just a little bit. I don't know if they're going to give him the same wear and tear as last year. I still think when it comes to the end zone, he's still going to be probably that guy. But between the 20s, like those first downs, like on a 4th and 1, is it really necessary for like Jalen Hurts to be crushed? I don't know if I feel the same way this year as I did last year. But interesting that you have Josh Allen number 1 at quarterback. In part, is it because you've lost a little bit of faith in Patrick Mahomes' weapons? He's going to win. This isn't about Patrick Mahomes as a winner. This is about fantasy football. Do you feel like the lack of a Tyreek Hill, obviously he's had a year of that, but is that impacting your thinking of him as number 1 overall?
So a lot of it actually goes with my dual threat quarterback in fantasy is that I want quarterbacks that can not only pass the ball, but can consistently rush and in red zone go for the 1-2 yard touchdown QB sneaks, which is Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts continuously, those two. Patrick Mahomes, obviously you can't do wrong as your quarterback in fantasy. If he drops to me and he's a third quarterback available, I will be giddy. The thing is, as you alluded to, his weapons it's Travis Kelce and then whatever receiver he's throwing to. It could be Kadarius Toney, who could be a lot better than.
I think Toney could have a breakout year, actually. We'll get to him a little later on, but I actually like him a little bit.
Yeah, and I do believe with Pacheco, I think that they're going to be running it a little bit more than they were last year because they're getting rid of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I believe that just with everything adding up, I do value Allen and Hurts a little bit more than Mahomes. I'm not saying there's a huge gap between those. That's all like 1A, 1B, 1C. It's not 1, 2, or 3.
Adam, we now shift to you. Michael talked about Josh Allen being potentially the number 1 fantasy quarterback out there and not being Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, you guys both know I was crazy in love with the Bills' first-round draft pick in Dalton Kincaid. I thought that was a home run. To your thinking as a football analyst, do you think the Dalton Kincaid addition is part of the reason we should actually feel better about Josh Allen because it could actually open up his passing options even more and make that passing game even more dynamic?
Yeah, I think so. I think Kincaid for sure will make that passing attack more dynamic, but I think Michael hit the nail on the head. Like, Mahomes to me is a clear-cut number 1. I mean, 350-yard games are a dime a dozen with him, 3 touchdowns, a dime a dozen. But Michael makes a very good point. For fantasy-wise, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, how many 1, 2, 3-yard touchdowns do they get? It's just added, rushing touchdowns. And they don't go to the backfield. They are the backfield. So I think for that regard, I think Allen and Hurts could have some value here. I think Burrow at 4, obviously, I think is pretty good. The two that stand out to me on this list, and I know, a dual-threat quarterback, but between Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields, passing skills right now, obviously, you get a lot on the ground, but I think Fields and Jackson are a little higher up on this list. I would definitely have Herbert, Lawrence, and maybe even slide Kirk Cousins up here a little bit with the offense that they had in Minnesota. But to Michael's point, like as far as fantasy goes, I agree with him. I think getting those extra 1, 2 yard touchdowns between Allen and Hurts is an absolute benefit. But Mahomes does the 15, 10-yard runs in as well too. But Hurts and Allen, you can't go wrong there.
Getting a couple comments here on TikTok Live in the comment section. Dustin Peacock, who's a great loyal viewer, has watched a lot during the football season, brought up how people they don't give Mahomes his flowers. They go chase other things. He produces. Once you draft him, he continues to deliver. I tend to agree. I mean, I feel like you could go draft Mahomes. One of the things I actually like to do at this point is in auction drafts, I kind of identify players that I'm just willing to get. I'm just going to spend the money. I'm going to lock them into my team. Patrick Mahomes has been that player for the last 2 years because I know what I'm going to get from him. And Josh Allen, there actually is the likelihood that there are times where he can disappear. As crazy as it sounds, he can have monster games over the course of the season. It can be great, but I feel like Patrick Mahomes is the reason he's number one is the sheer consistency. I feel like even when he doesn't have a 300-yard passing game, he goes for 3 touchdowns. The consistency is always there for me. It's why Mahomes is number one, and I wouldn't overthink it too much. I do love Dalton Kincaid joining the Bills. I think that's such a great addition. It's going to make Stephon Diggs better. It's going to open up the middle, like the seams of the defense for Allen to attack. And again, with that, it also opens up the running game. Because if you have that linebacker that's got to cover Dalton Kincaid or that safety, they're dropping back into coverage, which opens up from line of scrimmage to wherever they are. And that's what? From 5 yards now to 7, 10, maybe 12. That opens up running lanes for Josh Allen. That's what I'm excited to see. Interesting, Adam, I divert a little bit away from you. I do like Kirk Cousins getting another weapon in his passing game, but I'm not crazy about Kirk Cousins at all. I'm always going to fade him. I know fantasy is actually a decent option, but I fade Kirk Cousins in life. Where I'm going against, where I'm going in the NFC North, rather, is Justin Fields. I love the addition of Darnell Wright, protecting Justin Fields as a passer. And guess what he has now? A number one receiver. DJ Moore, paired with Justin Fields for a full season. Love that. I'm not crazy about Chase Claypool. I think they probably gave up a little bit more than he was worth, and they realize that now. But getting DJ Moore, I love that addition. I want to see Justin Fields as a passer. I know what he can do as a runner. But when it comes to fantasy, if he can make a Justin Hurts kind of step up as a passer, he could be a top 3 fantasy quarterback this year. That's how good Justin Fields is on the ground. That's what he could continue to deliver. Again, he's learning the offense for a second season in Chicago. If they protect him and he has a number one receiver like DJ Moore healthy, I love Justin Fields. Keep your eyes on him too, because depending on what kind of league you draft him, if you're in a snake league, he might go a little bit earlier than he should, because there'll be that one Bears fan in your league, or there's one guy who's kind of high on them like myself who probably take him a little bit early. But if you're in an auction draft league, he may fall a little bit because people may be concerned about the Chicago Bears as a team. I wouldn't feel that way. I actually think he's going to probably be underpriced, and you could get him at good value, given that he will probably have, I think, the fantasy stats of a Jalen Hurts. I think that's how big a leap he could take. Now that the Bears were so smart and built that offensive line a little bit better, we're going to shift now a little bit further away from the quarterback conversation, and we'll move towards the backfield, the position